I knew loving him was dangerous the moment I felt it. Dangerous, forbidden, and utterly irresistible. I was 17, trapped in a small town where everyone knew your business before you even whispered a word. I spent most of my days quietly tucked behind the counter of my mom's bakery, pretending the world outside didn't scare me. That was until Chris walked in. He had this presence you couldn't ignore. It wasn't loud or flashy, but it was magnetic in the quietest, most insistent way. Dark hair that always seemed to fall just enough to shadow his eyes, giving him this kind of dangerous, effortless allure. The way he moved was deliberate yet natural, like he had nothing to prove but somehow commanded attention anyway. And that crooked smile, the one that hinted at mischief and secrets, the kind of smile that made you forget yourself for a heartbeat. There was this calm confidence about him, a subtle intensity that made my chest tighten every time he passed. I hated it. I hated how much I noticed him. I hated how my heart betrayed me before my brain could even catch up. I hated the way my stomach fluttered, the way my hands fidgeted whenever I knew he was near. I hated the ache of anticipation that started in my chest and worked its way into every nerve ending. And yet, I couldn't look away. Not once. Even if I tried, even if I told myself he was trouble, even if I swore I would stay safe, he had a way of finding the parts of me that had been quietly waiting for someone like him. I saw him first on a late summer afternoon, when the town had that golden glow that made everything feel smaller, warmer, and more intimate. The streets smelled faintly of baked bread from my mom's bakery, of wet grass freshly cut in the park, and of the faint tang of late-blooming flowers that grew along the sidewalks. The sun was low, casting long, soft shadows over the worn cobblestones, and the air was thick with the quiet hum of cicadas. I had sought refuge at the old town park, somewhere I could sit and think without prying eyes watching. The swings creaked gently as I leaned back, trying to push the world out of my mind, to make my chest stop tightening with the relentless rhythm of teenage anxiety and unspoken desires. I didn't see him at first. I only felt the air change, a subtle shift like someone had stepped too close to the edge of a fragile glass. And then he was there, standing just at the edge of the sun-flecked path, hands stuffed into the pockets of his jeans, watching me. I didn't know how long he had been standing there, but it felt like an eternity, like the world had shrunk to just him and me. My pulse thudded painfully in my ears, loud enough I was sure he could hear it. I tried to look anywhere but at him, at the way the sun cut his hair in fiery strands, at the ease in his stance that made me feel suddenly clumsy, awkward, painfully aware of every self-conscious thought I'd ever had. "Hey," he said, voice low but steady. The sound was warm, yet it carried a weight I couldn't place, like he was speaking directly to the part of me I tried so hard to hide. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. "Hi," I whispered back, my voice barely louder than the rustling of leaves overhead. My hands gripped the cold metal chains of the swing, knuckles white, as I tried to ground myself in something real, anything that could keep me from melting into the sound of his voice. He stepped closer, slow enough to give me room, but close enough that I could feel the faint heat radiating from him. Every step made my stomach tighten more, every breath I drew seemed too shallow, too small. And then he smiled, just that one crooked smile, and something inside me shifted, like a lock clicking open that I hadn't even realized was there. "You're different," he said, and the words hung between us like they had weight, like they could tip the world over if they fell the wrong way. "I like that," he added softly, almost as if he were talking to himself more than me. I tried to hide the way my heart lurched, the way my chest felt like it might burst. Thanks," I said, my voice trembling despite my best effort to sound composed. For a long moment, neither of us moved. The swings creaked gently in the quiet afternoon, the faint hum of the town around us somehow dimming until it felt like we were the only two people in the world. I could see the sunlight glinting in his eyes, the way it danced over the edges of his smile, the subtle tension in his jaw that made him look both relaxed and intense at the same time. I hated him for it. I hated how completely he had invaded my thoughts, my body, my imagination. And yet, I couldn't look away. Every nerve in my body was screaming to watch, to listen, to stay. I knew I was already caught, tangled in something far bigger than a casual crush, far bigger than any feelings I had dared to allow myself before. He leaned casually against the swing set, a lazy confidence in his posture that somehow made him even more dangerous. "You come here often?" he asked, though I wasn't sure if it was a question or a statement, a challenge or an observation. I shrugged, trying to look nonchalant, even though my stomach was twisting. "Sometimes," I said, though the word felt too small, too weak, too inadequate for the racing of my heart. "Sometimes, huh?" He tilted his head, studying me like he was trying to read something he wasn't supposed to know. "I think you spend more time here than you let on." I looked down, cheeks flaming. "Maybe I like being alone." He smiled again, just that one smile that made my chest tighten unbearably. "Yeah, I get that," he said, and I felt a strange shiver go down my spine, a mixture of fear, longing, and something I couldn't name. We stayed there in silence for a while, just watching the sun dip lower, the shadows stretching long across the grass, listening to the faint buzz of life around the park. Every so often, our hands brushed, fleeting, accidental or not, and every time, it felt electric. My mind screamed at me to step back, to protect myself, to remind myself that this was dangerous, forbidden. But my heart betrayed me completely. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know if he was trouble or trouble's antidote. All I knew was that he had entered my world without asking, and somehow, without permission, I wanted him to stay. "Hey," he said, voice low but steady, like he already knew a secret I hadn't dared to whisper. "Hi," I murmured, barely above the hum of summer cicadas. The word felt too small, too inadequate, like trying to capture a storm in a glass jar. I wasn't used to talking to people like Chris. Not like this. Not where my chest thudded like a drum in my ribcage, and my fingers tingled from nerves I couldn't control. That swing felt smaller with him beside me. Too small to contain the weight of everything I was feeling. The warm breeze blew through the park, tangling my hair across my face, but I barely noticed. I couldn't focus on the rustling leaves, the soft chirp of birds, or even the faint scent of blooming jasmine from the corner of the park. All I could notice was him, every subtle movement, every quiet breath, every infuriatingly charming smile that seemed so effortless, so natural, so wrong for the way it made me feel. In that moment, something shifted inside me. My carefully constructed walls, the ones I had built to keep the world at bay, wavered. I realized, with a slow, terrifying clarity, that my life wasn't safe anymore, not with Chris in it. He wasn't just a boy who wandered into my park one afternoon. He was a force that unsettled everything inside me, a presence that seemed to amplify my heart's secret desires. I hated how aware I was of every part of him, and yet I craved it. Days turned into weeks, each one feeling both impossibly long and impossibly fast. Chris was always there, in the small ways that mattered more than I wanted to admit. He helped without being asked, holding the door open for me at the library, handing me a notebook I had forgotten in class, picking up a spilled stack of papers before I could even move. It wasn't grand gestures, not the kind that demanded attention. It was the subtle, quiet ones that made my pulse stutter every time. I remember one afternoon in particular. The sun was low, casting long amber shadows across the school courtyard, when I saw him laughing with a friend. Something in the way his shoulders relaxed, the way his laugh crinkled the corners of his eyes, made me ache in a way I hadn't expected. I tried to look away, but I couldn't. My chest tightened painfully, and I felt an irrational jealousy rise like fire. Why did it hurt to see him smile at someone else? Why did I care so much? Then there were the moments he didn't notice me, or so I thought. I would catch him out of the corner of my eye, scribbling in his notebook, tapping his pen against his lips, and I would wonder if he ever thought about me at all. The longing I felt during those seconds made the world feel impossibly wide and lonely. I hated the uncertainty, but I also loved the tension it brought, the electricity of the unknown. Every time he brushed past me in the crowded hallways, my heartbeat jumped like it was trying to escape. The faintest touch, the brush of his hand as we both reached for the same book, the accidental bump of shoulders, sent shivers down my spine. I would pretend it didn't affect me, pretending to smooth my hair, adjust my bag, or focus on the floor, but inside, I was a storm of unspoken feelings. One morning, I found myself at my locker, fumbling with my books, when he appeared behind me. "You left this in class," he said, holding out a small notebook. His eyes were warm, but there was a mischief lurking in them, a teasing look that made my knees go weak. "Thanks," I whispered, cheeks burning. My fingers brushed his as I took the notebook, and I felt the spark again, that tiny flash of electricity that made my heart race. "No problem," he said casually, but the way he lingered, just a little longer than necessary, made my pulse hammer in my ears. "See you later, Catherine." "Why yeah, later," I stammered, watching him walk away, wishing I could stop my knees from shaking. And then there were the moments he looked at me, really looked at me. Not with the casual glance you give a stranger, but with an intensity that made me feel seen, understood, exposed. My chest felt too tight, like it might crack from wanting him to notice every little part of me I hid from the world. The way he tilted his head, the subtle arch of his brow, the softness in his voice when he said my name, it all wrapped around me like a fragile, irresistible web I couldn't escape. Even simple things became charged. Passing notes in class, the brush of hands as we reached for the same pen, laughing together over something only the two of us found funny, they all felt monumental. Every encounter left me dizzy with longing and terrified of what it meant. I hated how addicted I was to his presence, hated how much it unsettled me, and yet, I couldn't imagine a day without it. Some nights, I would lie awake, heart still pounding, replaying every interaction. I hated the vulnerability, the craving, the awareness that I was falling deeper than I ever intended. I hated the way my mind raced every time his name popped up in my thoughts. And yet, I couldn't stop thinking about him. I couldn't stop wanting more. Because Chris wasn't just someone passing through my life. He was a storm I couldn't resist, a quiet intensity that made me ache with longing. Every glance, every brush of a hand, every shared laugh pulled me deeper into something I didn't fully understand. And in that tangled web of desire, anticipation, and fear, I realized the truth: my life wasn't safe anymore. Not with Chris in it, and not because I wanted it to be. One evening, I found myself wandering into the small-town bookstore, the bell above the door jingling softly as I stepped inside. The air smelled faintly of aged paper, ink, and vanilla from the candle someone had lit in the corner. It was cozy, comforting, and the perfect escape from the oppressive summer heat outside. I had come looking for something to distract me, a story to lose myself in, and maybe, if I was lucky, a moment of quiet before the chaos of my thoughts overtook me again. I was scanning the shelves with my fingers lightly tracing the spines of the books, looking for something familiar, something safe, when I saw him. Chris. He was standing just a few feet away, his dark hair falling casually over his forehead, eyes focused on the row of novels in front of him. He didn't look up at first, completely absorbed in whatever he was searching for, but I could feel that unmistakable pull, that quiet magnetism that always made me notice him, no matter what I was doing. And then, as if the universe had conspired to make my heart skip a dozen beats at once, our hands reached for the same book, a worn, dog-eared copy of Pride and Prejudice. Our fingers brushed, light and accidental, and the tiny spark that traveled up my arm made me catch my breath. "You really love these old novels, huh?" he asked, teasing, his voice low and smooth, eyes sparkling with amusement. There was that crooked smile again, the one that made my chest clench and my thoughts scatter. I guess, I stammered, my cheeks heating as the words barely managed to escape. My fingers lingered on the edge of the book, reluctant to let go, reluctant to move away from him. I hated how flustered I felt. Hated how powerless I was in his presence. And yet, I couldn't stop noticing everything about him, the slight arch of his brow, the way his lips curved as he spoke, the quiet confidence that seemed to make the world pause around him. He smirked, and I swear the entire room tilted slightly on its axis. "I like that about you. You notice the little things," he said, voice softening just enough that I felt like he was seeing me in a way no one else ever did. And just like that, I was lost. Lost in the depth of his gaze, lost in the quiet warmth of his presence, lost in a moment that felt like it had stretched far longer than it actually had. My chest tightened, my stomach fluttered, and I realized I didn't want to pull my hand away from the book, or from him. Do you come here often?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, as if saying it louder might break the fragile bubble of connection we'd stepped into. Chris tilted his head, amusement and curiosity dancing in his dark eyes. "Sometimes," he replied, casually, but I could tell from the subtle shift in his posture that he was teasing, that he was waiting to see how I'd react. "I like the quiet corners. You can get lost in the words without anyone noticing." I nodded, cheeks still warm, unsure how to articulate the jumble of thoughts and feelings he stirred in me. "Yeah. I guess I do the same." We lingered there longer than we should have, shuffling books on the shelf as an excuse to stay close, our hands occasionally brushing again, sparking little jolts that left me dizzy. Every glance, every slight movement, made me painfully aware of how much I wanted him, how much I was already wrapped up in him. And yet, the world beyond the bookstore waited, and responsibilities and rules and the suffocating small-town whispers loomed just outside the door. Then came the summer fair, the night that changed everything, the night that made every heartbeat feel like a drum in my chest, every glance feel electric, every moment teeter on the edge of something dangerous and thrilling. The town square was alive with light and sound. Strings of fairy lights twinkled over worn cobblestones, casting golden glows across the faces of townsfolk laughing and shouting as carnival games beckoned. The air was thick with the smell of popcorn, caramel apples, and cotton candy, heavy and sweet, wrapping around me like a memory I hadn't yet lived. The low murmur of a distant carousel mixed with music drifting from the small stage in the center, and the warmth of the night sun lingering over rooftops made everything shimmer with a soft, golden haze. I was laughing with my friends, spinning around in the chaos of voices and lights, trying to lose myself in the noise to forget the way my thoughts kept drifting to Chris. And then, across the crowd, I saw him. Standing alone, watching me. His eyes, dark, intense, and impossible to ignore, were fixed on me, studying me in a way that made my stomach twist into knots. He wasn't just looking, he was seeing, noticing, as if he could read the secret corners of my mind that I didn't even dare acknowledge myself. Before I could think, before I could gather the courage to run or hide or pretend like I didn't feel the pull toward him, he was by my side. My chest tightened as his fingers brushed against mine, not a touch of comfort, not a casual graze, but deliberate, intentional, and full of unspoken questions. "You look different tonight," he said softly, voice low, almost as if speaking louder would shatter the fragile bubble around us. Thanks," I whispered, barely able to form words, my voice trembling despite my best effort to sound composed. I wanted to tell him I had been thinking about him constantly, that every stolen glance, every brush of his hand, every laugh we had shared had kept me awake at night. But the words stuck in my throat, and all I could do was watch him, heart hammering so hard I was sure he could hear it. He smiled, that crooked, dangerous, infuriating smile that made me ache in ways I didn't understand. "I'm glad you're here," he added softly, eyes never leaving mine. "I've been hoping I'd find you tonight." The heat of the summer night pressed against my skin, the sweet smells of the fair wrapping around us, the soft hum of laughter and music drifting in the air, and all I could feel was him. Every brush of his fingers, every glance, every word made my heartbeat rise, made the world shrink down to just the two of us. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. I was completely, utterly lost in him. We started meeting in secret. It wasn't anything grand, nothing the world would notice, but it was enough to make my heart race and my thoughts spin. Quick chats under the old oak by the river, where the water glimmered like silver in the late afternoon sun, and the wind whispered through the leaves, carrying a soft rustling that felt like it belonged only to us. Our fingers would brush as we reached for the same book or the same branch of sunlight filtering through the branches, and each accidental touch left a shock of warmth in my chest, a thrill I tried not to acknowledge, but couldn't. Every conversation pulled me deeper, each word a thread weaving me into a web I didn't want to escape. He would lean against the trunk of the oak, arms crossed lazily, looking effortless and dangerous, and I would find myself unable to speak clearly, fumbling for the right words, my chest tight as if it couldn't contain the longing I felt. His voice was soft, teasing, but also careful, like he was testing boundaries without telling me where they ended. "You really notice everything, don't you?" he would say, dark eyes scanning me as if he could see through every thought I had tried to hide. I guess, I'd murmur, cheeks burning, heart hammering. I notice." He'd smirk, that infuriating, crooked smile, and I hated myself for melting under it every single time. "I like that about you," he'd add, voice low and gentle. You see what others don't. With him, I felt alive. Every glance, every laugh, every brush of skin against skin sent my pulse racing. The air felt sharper, the sunlight warmer, the world somehow both bigger and smaller at the same time. I knew it was reckless. I knew we were skating on the edge of something fragile and dangerous. But I didn't care. Being with him, even for those stolen moments, was worth every risk, every whispered warning my mind tried to give me. Then, slowly, jealousy crept in. It started with a glance, a laugh shared with someone else, a brief touch that wasn't mine. My chest would twist painfully, a cold, bitter ache I couldn't shake. I hated myself for it, hated how possessive I felt, how much it hurt to see him interact with the world outside the bubble we had created. And yet, I could tell he felt it too. He wasn't immune. I caught him staring at me sometimes, long and unflinching, with a longing that mirrored my own. It made my stomach churn, made my fingers itch to reach for him, made the air between us electric with tension I couldn't name. Every meeting after that felt charged, a delicate balance between desire and fear. The oak by the river became our refuge and our battlefield, where we tested limits with every word, every gesture, every stolen glance. I would sometimes sit there, staring at the ripples on the water, telling myself I was imagining things, that the ache in my chest was my own making. But when he smiled, when he leaned closer just a little, when his fingers brushed mine in the way that always made me tremble, I knew it was real. And then life twisted. One rainy evening, the kind of steady downpour that turns streets into rivers and leaves the world shrouded in mist, I made the mistake, or perhaps the brave choice, of finally admitting I couldn't hide my feelings anymore. I had rehearsed the words for hours, imagining the way I would tell him, imagining the warmth of his hand holding mine in response. But instead of relief, I found something worse. I overheard my older brother talking to his friend, the rain pounding on the roof of the house like a warning drum. Their voices carried, slicing through the air. She actually likes him. Can you believe it? One of them said, a tone of disbelief in his voice. My stomach dropped. Yeah, but did you see the text he sent her? I don't think he's serious, my brother replied. My heart shattered in a way I hadn't expected. The text. The way it had sounded innocent to me, the way it had felt like a promise, now twisted in my mind, a betrayal I couldn't yet process. Every breath felt heavy, every heartbeat a painful drum in my chest. I ran. I didn't even think, didn't pause, didn't wait to process the sting in my chest. I ran through the rain, soaked to the bone, hair plastered to my cheeks, water dripping into my eyes, my vision blurred. When I found him, he was standing beneath the oak tree, drenched, the rain painting streaks across his sharp features. The storm around us seemed to echo the chaos in my heart, the tension between us crackling like static. Why didn't you tell me the truth? I demanded, voice shaking, words breaking against the relentless rhythm of raindrops. My hands were trembling, my chest heaving with the weight of everything I had held inside for too long. Chris looked at me, eyes dark, heavy with something I couldn't name. Vulnerability, regret, fear, all mixed together in a way that made my chest ache. I was protecting you, from myself, he whispered, voice rough with emotion. Protecting me? From what? I shouted over the rain, my voice cracking, soaked hair clinging to my face. From what, Chris? From loving you? He flinched slightly at my words, as if I had touched a nerve buried too deep to be exposed. From falling too hard, from me being a mistake you'd regret, he admitted, finally letting the mask slip. His hands, trembling slightly, reached out, but hesitated just short of mine. I didn't want to hurt you. I couldn't risk it, not if it meant losing you to me. I wanted to scream, to shake him until he understood, to tell him that he wasn't a mistake, that I wanted every risk, every dangerous thrill, every messy, reckless piece of it. But the words lodged in my throat, swallowed by the storm and my own fear of being wrong, of being vulnerable, of being hurt again. The rain fell harder, drumming on our shoulders, soaking our clothes, chilling us to the bone. But I didn't feel the cold. I only felt the heat of my heartbeat, the ache in my chest, and the overwhelming, unbearable need to bridge the distance between us. Every stolen moment, every shared glance, every word left unsaid, it all came crashing down in that instant. And he looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time that night, eyes searching, pleading, waited with honesty that I had been craving but terrified to accept. I could see every fear he had, every thought he tried to hide, every desire he refused to speak aloud. And somehow, even in the middle of the storm, I felt closer to him than I had in weeks. We didn't speak for weeks. It wasn't quiet between us in the way silence usually is. It was heavy, loaded, the kind of silence that presses against your chest and refuses to let go. I tried to fill the space he left behind with other things. Baking became my refuge, the warm scent of bread and sugar in the oven a small comfort against the storm of thoughts that followed me everywhere. I tried losing myself in my friends, in long walks down the worn cobblestone streets of our small town, in the endless chatter of afternoons at the cafe. But no matter what I did, he lingered. He lingered in every sigh I couldn't control, in the way my chest tightened when I remembered the brush of his fingers against mine, in every heartbeat that skipped whenever I caught a glimpse of someone who reminded me of him. I tried to focus on schoolwork, on chores, on anything that demanded attention, but even the most mundane tasks carried traces of him. The quiet moments, the ones I used to spend thinking I was safe, were the hardest. Because in those moments, memories of Chris flooded me with the kind of intensity one hadn't anticipated. Every laugh, every glance, every touch we had shared replayed in my mind like a slow, merciless film. Some nights, I would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, hands clutched under my pillow, feeling the ache of missing him as if it had physical weight. I would imagine the old oak by the river, imagine his voice teasing me, imagine his crooked smile, and I would ache with longing, wishing I could reach through the distance, through the walls I had built, and just have him there. But I couldn't. Not yet. And then it happened, the reunion that shattered the weeks of silence and hesitation. It wasn't planned. It wasn't arranged. It just happened. The town fair, alive again with the golden glow of string lights, the sweet smell of popcorn and caramel, the low hum of music from the carousel drifting across the square. I had come with friends, trying to lose myself in laughter, to ignore the echoes of my own restless heart. I was walking past the booths, watching children chase each other with cotton candy smeared on their cheeks, feeling the gentle press of warm air against my damp hair, when I saw him. Chris. There was no hesitation in the way he stood, no uncertainty. He was there, lights flickering across his familiar face, every shadow and highlight accentuating the sharp lines I knew so well. And for a moment, my chest stopped. The world narrowed until it was just him, just me, and the hum of the fair around us, fading into a blur. I can't do this without you, he admitted, voice breaking in a way that mirrored the desperation I had been swallowing for weeks. It was raw, unpolished, vulnerable, and it reached deep into the places inside me that had been aching for him. I felt my throat tighten, my fingers trembling as if they might betray the storm of emotion building inside me. The words struck me harder than I had expected. I had been bracing myself for excuses, for rational explanations, for anything but this naked confession. My chest ached with the weight of longing and relief all at once, and my heartbeat thundered in my ears. I can't either, I whispered, voice barely audible over the music and laughter around us, but strong enough that he heard it. And then, almost instinctively, I stepped closer, closing the fragile distance between us. Every nerve in my body buzzed, every breath caught halfway, and I realized that I didn't care about the shadows of fear or the whispers of caution anymore. Then don't, I said softly, letting the words linger, letting them carry the promise I had been afraid to give. My chest was tight, my palms clammy, my hair damp from the summer rain that had threatened earlier, but none of it mattered. All that mattered was the space we were reclaiming, the connection we were daring to rebuild. And in that moment, something shifted. The tension that had been taut between us for weeks dissolved like mist in sunlight. Our fingers found each other's, tentative at first, testing boundaries, learning the language of touch that didn't need words. Every brush of skin, every shared look, carried a depth of meaning that had been impossible before. The whispers of the town, the murmurs of judgment, even the shadows of doubt that lingered in my mind, they all faded into the background. We learned, slowly and deliberately, how to love softly and fiercely at the same time. Chris became more than a storm I couldn't resist. He became the calm after the storm, the warmth that lingered long after the chaos had passed. Every laugh we shared, every secret we whispered under the oak, every gentle touch that wasn't meant for anyone else, became part of a language only we understood. I realized that love didn't have to be loud or dramatic to be real. It could be quiet, steady, all-encompassing, filling the cracks of the heart that had been too long neglected. We discovered the beauty in small gestures, a brush of fingers while passing a book, a hand held lightly on a crowded street, a look that said everything words couldn't. Each moment felt monumental, each glance electric, each shared laugh a reminder that we were choosing this, choosing each other, even when the world tried to pull us apart. Even when doubts crept in, even when the shadows of gossip or past misunderstandings lingered, nothing felt as heavy as the weight of not trying. We had risked everything, lost and gained, faltered and stumbled, but now, holding his hand under the soft glow of fairground lights, I knew that every misstep had led us to this. Every hesitation, every tear, every stolen glance had been worth it because it brought us here, together, alive, and daring to love without restraint. And so, in the glow of the summer fair, with the scent of popcorn and cotton candy drifting around us, the sound of laughter mingling with music, and the world falling softly into the night, I felt it clearly, this was what I had needed all along. Not perfection. Not safety. Not certainty. Just him. Just us. Just the quiet, fierce, messy, beautiful kind of love that makes you feel alive in ways you never knew you could. Years later, I still remember those early days as if they were carved into my memory with a delicate, unstoppable hand, every stolen glance, every trembling laugh, every brush of fingers that left a spark I couldn't ignore. I can still feel the way my chest tightened whenever he looked at me, the small, subtle ways he noticed me in a crowded room, the quiet intensity of a smile that made me ache from the inside out. Every moment of fear, every hesitation, every night I lay awake wondering if I was making the right choice, slowly gave way to something more beautiful, more overwhelming, and more real than I could have ever imagined. Love, I realized, doesn't have a single face or form. It can be gentle and tender, like the soft brush of a hand across your knuckles on a summer evening, and it can be wild and consuming, like the rush of wind and rain when you're running together through empty streets, daring the world to catch you. It can break you in ways you didn't know were possible, shaking your heart, your trust, your sense of self, but in its breaking, it rebuilds you, makes you more alive than you ever thought you could be. With Chris, I learned that love could hold both fragility and fire, vulnerability and courage, softness and strength, all at once. I think back to the early secret meetings by the oak tree, the nervous laughs when our hands brushed, the way our hearts seemed to speak a language only we could hear. Every second was electric, every look a promise we couldn't yet say aloud. I remember the taste of rain on my lips as I confronted him, the ache of longing that nearly made me collapse with need, the intensity of realizing that no matter how much fear tried to hold me back, my heart wanted him more than anything. And I remember, most vividly, the way he looked at me when he let himself be vulnerable, eyes dark with longing, lips curved in the faintest of smiles, hands trembling as if afraid I would disappear if he reached out too far. We discovered that love wasn't just about grand gestures or declarations shouted into the wind. It was in the quiet moments, the shared smiles over silly jokes, the comfort of sitting together without saying anything, the warmth of a hand holding yours in the dark while the world moved on oblivious to your heartbeat. It was the little things, the way he would brush a strand of hair from my face, the way I would trace the outline of his jaw with my fingers when he wasn't looking, the way we learned each other's silences, our laughter, our fears. Every moment made me feel seen, truly seen, in ways I hadn't thought possible. And now, looking back, I understand this, fear is loud. It shouts, it warns, it presses against you with the weight of 1,000 what-ifs. But the heart is louder. It doesn't just whisper, it commands. It pulls, it aches, it leaps, it defies logic and reason. And when you let it lead, when you take that terrifying leap, it rewards you with a love so intoxicating, so overwhelming, so utterly consuming, that every doubt, every shadow, every fear seems small in comparison. Would you risk everything for a love that sees you? Not just the parts you show the world, but the secret corners, the messy edges, the pieces you hide even from yourself? Would you dare to let someone in so completely that even the tiniest glance feels like a confession, and the softest touch feels like a promise? Because that is what Chris taught me. And I wouldn't change a single second, not the laughter, not the longing, not the moments of fear, not the storms of desire that left me trembling in ways I hadn't known I could feel. Every second was worth it, every heartbeat with him was worth every risk, every stolen moment, every passionate, gentle, consuming second of it. And now, here's the thing, my beautiful listeners, if you've felt your heart skip a beat just listening to this story, if you've imagined what it would feel like to be seen that completely, to be wanted so fiercely and so softly at the same time, then don't keep it to yourself. Because love like this isn't just a story to hear, it's a story to live, to feel, to chase, to share. And while we're sharing, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, have you ever loved someone so intensely that it scared you, but also made you feel alive in ways you never expected? Have you ever risked it all for that kind of heart-stopping, life-changing connection? I want to know. I live for these confessions, these little glimpses into your hearts. So if this story made you feel something, if it made your chest tighten, your fingers itch to reach out, your heart flutter in the quietest, most delicious way, then do this for me. Hit that like button, let me know you felt it. Share it with someone who needs to remember that love can be gentle, wild, messy, and perfect all at once. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because every week we dive deep into stories that make hearts race and pulses pound, and you won't want to miss a single moment. And one last thing, if your heart is pounding just thinking about Chris and me, imagine what it could feel like to live a story like ours. Imagine the thrill, the longing, the whispered promises, the shivers from the smallest touch. Keep that feeling alive. Hold it. Treasure it. And then, tell me, what would you risk for the love that sees you completely, the love that makes your heart louder than any fear? Comment below. I'm dying to know. Because, my loves, that's where the magic lives, the moments that leave you trembling, breathless, and utterly, deliciously alive. And if you want more of this, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, share, and let's make your heart skip a beat, together.